Hello, fuckers. We are here for my least favorite time of the year. No, not because of the cooling temperatures, the perpetual darkness, or the many weather obstacles, but because of the family temperature, the perpetual darkness of their souls, and their unmanaged emotional weather obstacles. And if you regularly wonder, what is wrong with me? Why don't I enjoy these days like everyone else? Well, you might be in the same ever sinking ancestral boat. If your holiday experience is anything like mine, it's stressful without any cheer on the other end of things. Actually, only deeper depression will be found after spending time with these dear, darling loved ones. And every year, you might go through a similar song and dance in the months and weeks and days leading up. One that I call, What the Fuck is Expected of Me? How do I just play along to make this as easy as possible? But also knowing that it never will be easy and torment is my fate. What's the point? And should I even bother? Put your left hand in and shake it all about. So today I'm here to talk about the epiphany of enough and to recommend the evidence gathering, reality testing, experience integrating activity to anyone and everyone who is equally challenged by these annual time markers. This year, our holiday season just so happens to land during a time of deep reflection and recalibration, as well as increased transformation of the ego and outward directed behaviors. 'Tis what is in the air, and I believe that it is not coincidental. If you are spending time with your family, you might want to explicitly look for and carefully reflect upon evidential instances of having enough. And if you're not spending time with your family, you might want to carefully recall and reframe all the ways that your previous experiences with them were already enough. And either way, try not to gag down the sentiment. Just ponder it gently instead that you are enough. Just maybe not to these people, because that would blow their whole system of navigating the world together apart. So let's talk about the conundrum and the epiphany of enough. As this holiday approaches, I'm quite certain that many of us already have been thinking about enough. Many of us have already had enough. Enough political chatter, torment, and overzealous fandom that can make one wonder, when did politicians become superheroes and voting age adults become 6-year-old boys? We might have enough changing or non existent plans and enough experiences wondering how you're expected to be there anyways. Enough unspoken expectations in general, or very overtly stated ones that oft border on humanly impossible. We may have already had enough gotcha moments, backhanded shit comments, dismissals and recognition refusals, guilt, and enough demonstrations of baffling inconsideration and incapacity for theory of mind. But we regularly suck it up and state, well, that's not enough to ruin anyone else's holiday over. And then we pony up to the grill station anyways, don't we? Instead, this year, I prompt you to consider from the strong and wise and knowing core of yourself. Feel it deep in your guts. When have you witnessed and felt the impact of enough? Enough attempts to please, to keep things non-conflictual and undramatic, only for everyone else to have a very different plan. Enough accepted blame and responsibility, scapegoating, teasing, dismissal, demoralization, and dehumanization. Enough effort on your part to be a part of the club that doesn't seem to want you. Enough evidence that actually you don't want to be in that fucking after school program anyways. Have you gone and done the thing time after time, tried to be a good person or good family member or person holding all the shit together so anyone can have a fucking holiday around here, seemingly in direct opposition to what the rest of the clan will allow you to be or do or accomplish? Have you accepted the scorn, the chiding remarks, the side-eyed looks, the back-ass words, fake compliments, and attempts to prod into your life? The evidence that they have absolutely no idea what is going on in your life and truly don't know you at all. The micro stings of covert abuse, the continual critique, even though looks around, don't see anyone else fucking contributing, the conversations that are happening around you, perhaps even about you, without including you. Have you been reporting to the worst party on earth for years now? Because apparently you would like to spend your winter season in the closest thing to hell that actually exists. And have you had enough? Enough to justify making a different behavioral choice? Enough to go against what everyone expects of you, what society suggests you need to do, what the social medias falsely advertise as widespread reality? Starting in your thoughts and pulling in your wise, lingering, all-knowing feelings, those timestamps of holidays past that remain in your inner passport. When have you authentically, from the center of your being and your highest minded self, had enough? When have you given away enough of your free will and your happiness, your peace, your time, your money, energy, your good nature to things that feel terrible among people who feel very little for anyone but themselves and who think even less than that? When have you received enough of their habitual thoughtless abuse or their cruelly intentional, pointed, purposeful abuse? When have you been kicked by enough feet in the circle? Or sufficiently by just one pair of legs, while the rest of the crew looks on silently? When have you put yourself through enough pain and turmoil and self-scorn in response to their actions? And when will it end? I'm not here to influence anyone to go no contact or limited contact, to miss out on family holidays, to cut all ties or make dramatic decisions that cannot, I believe, be morally advised from a public speaking to the masses platform. But we with the trauma brains, we do have fragmented memories that block out what we can't deal with. And therefore, those memory systems land us back into situations that we're just not taking our lessons away from, because to some extent, we won't let ourselves. So I do have to encourage you and everyone to take note of the evidence that you see and the results that you've achieved and the weight that you felt, the mental, emotional, and physical hits that you've taken, and to truly consider removing all expectations of what is traditionally correct or what is the right thing to do, and to instead ask, when is enough enough? When have I observed enough to make a new, conscious, purposeful, and self-driven decision? When can you accept calmly and peacefully, solidly, you've seen enough, learned enough, felt enough, proven enough to yourself to know that things are not going to change within this system of people because of your behaviors alone? To recognize that your continual striving to be enough for everyone somehow, to help or find real love with these folks, it isn't producing positive results. Not because you aren't enough, not because there's anything wrong with you, but because for some people, there is no such thing as enough. They will never be satiated. They will never be satisfied. They will never be pleased with you or maybe anything. This is because of their emotional emptiness and expectations for magical remedies. This is because nothing ever can fill their void that they do not try to fill themselves. This is because nothing ever will make them suddenly happy or content or connective. And many people will never recognize enough because enough suggests a turning point. When we think of trauma families, it helps to think of them as systems that exist to maintain the status quo, to remain in homeostasis together, even if that homeostatic pattern is absolutely fucked and healthy for no one. Everyone still has a role. Everyone works to keep this machine running. So there will never be an enough in those circumstances, a point when everyone has gotten everything that they need from you or each other, when suddenly everything changes for the better. Because the family system is set up to maintain an environment of lack, so that there is always an effort to obtain more, a goal, a need, so that everyone keeps playing their role. Therefore, enough is impossible. There is never enough for these people. You will never give enough of yourself. You will never bend over backwards enough. You will never break enough. They still will not be happy, accepting, or caring. They will not abruptly meet your needs. They will not suddenly be different. And it's not by design. It's really not intentional for the most part. These people are generally not deeply thinking enough to consciously set up these massive Rube Goldberg-esque manipulation machines that function between various humans to keep you performing your specific part of the contraption again and again. But the way that they've all gotten by for this long while still having some relationship with each other and some sense of normalcy and safety It's through no one and no thing ever being what they need for them to get over their shit and behave differently. Enough is never enough. And you were born into that system. Another piece of the family mechanism that had to fit within whatever already existed. Therefore, you also could not and probably cannot ever be satisfactory. So, you, my dear fucker, might need to be the cog in the wheel that cries, enough. Ain't nobody else going to do it for you when they depend on your reliable conformity to the family misery factory. Do not let their rejection of enough ever being enough stunt your own recognition of it when enough comes, or stunt your own change and growth that is unlocked afterwards. As anyone who has ever left any variety of abusive relationship knows, just like J-Lo did 25 years ago, enough is the catalyst to moving forward without still feeling hopelessly tethered to the past. Enough is a statement of recognition that a thing hath been tried and tried and tried again. Enough is confirmation, validation within the self that you've given your effort. Enough goodwill, enough high-roaded rides, enough of your time and your thought, your patience, your pain tolerance. Enough is also confirmation and validation that you've received enough emotional, mental, financial, and relational abuse. Enough is the point of recognition, of integration, of the reality of your past, which is still being proven true in the present. And it's the saturation point that has finally been reached. Enough is the signifier of an old goal being laid to rest and a new one being created. Because the last achievement, it's over. You've done your best and it's happened, or it's not going to. And you're ready to let go of it without strain or stress, anger, regret, or resentment, because you've done enough. Enough is the prerequisite to neutral acceptance, psychic reset, emotional peace, and making aligned choices as life continues and starts anew. So, this holiday season, I hope for every fucker that you don't get caught up in the dangerous, never-ending, unsatiable game of trying to be enough to finally fix a generationally traumatized family, or to be accepted by them, or to be somehow unbothered by their blatant or implicit abuse, or to have a good holiday by making up for their shortcomings with superhuman wizardry and martyrdom. You don't have to be strong enough to weather their forever hurricane just because you happen to be related to them. But instead, I suggest you ask yourself sincerely if your decades together and all resulting psychological stings have been sufficient heartache and effort and receiving of the same result despite differing behaviors to finally state enough and to set out on a new, unproven course. Maybe you don't know what you'll find next on that new journey, but at least you'll know it won't be based on maintaining everyone else's comfort except your own. And you know it won't be more of the same year after devastating year, of which you have very possibly had enough. Care for yourself this holiday season, fucker, and stay conscious, stay present in order to gather evidence to inform your subsequent celebrations or to validate the no contact decisions that you've made in the past, if any part of you is struggling with them now. Remember the gift of and your right to having had motherfucking enough from an evidence, education, and experience-driven perspective. And I'll see you on the other side of these holidays to keep reminding you, to remind yourself that you are enough. And you're definitely smart, strong, grown, and aware enough for you to decide what is right for you and to have the strength to follow through. Hail yourself. Hail your holiday. Hail detecting from all of them if that's what's authentic to you. It's also fair to recognize if you've hit your motherfucking saturation point with past years of consumerism and eating to expand pockets within other abusive systems that we live under, and if maybe you have other traditions that you'd like to start. You have your fucking season the way you want to do it, getting your needs met. But be careful out there. And if you need to, go ahead and hit up the other free holiday offerings, which are always available to you on Patreon if you're up for any additional support or advice. Patreon.com/traumatized motherfuckers. Look for the holiday collection. And that's it. Cheers, y'all. You've got this. Good luck out there. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.